Your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, this is the Consumer Quarterback Show with Brandon Rhymes. Brandon is out today. My name is James DeJerome. I'm the executive producer here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Been with Brandon about 4 years. Of course, the Consumer Quarterback Show has been on air almost a decade now. About 10 years of helping folks in the Bay Area make their spending dollar go a little farther by bringing on a bunch of experts and professionals, as well as some great sponsors that help us out. The whole idea of the show is consumer advocacy. We want your dollar to go farther. We're trying to help everybody out there get a little bit further when it comes to spending in the Bay Area. And we've got a sponsor for the show today. Replenish IV Solutions is our first sponsor. You know, Steve and Lisa Gunnan have been longtime friends of the program. Whether you can get to one of their locations or have them come right to you, they provide a mineral and vitamin-enriched IV drip right into your immune system to help boost that. And everybody wants their immune system in tip-top shape, so get in touch with Steve and Lisa at Replenish IV Solutions. As I mentioned, Brandon owns the Platinum MVP team. He's a realtor here in the Bay Area. We've got some properties for you, even in this time of scarcity. Johnny is our TV producer. He's going to throw a few up on the screen for you. Here's an opportunity in Land of Lakes. If you're a builder, looks like we've got about 6.91 acres, almost 2 parcels, about 4.5 usable uplands right on Lake Helen. It's currently zoned C2 general commercial. Water and sewer is available. So if you're looking to build or get into the Land O'Lakes area, 5602 Land O'Lakes Boulevard, a great opportunity from Brandon and the Platinum MVP team. What else do you have for me, John? Let's look at another one if we could. So here's an opportunity for you in Port Richey, 4823 Ebb Tide Lane. This is about 1,000 square foot, 1-bedroom, 2-bath, your very own penthouse suite. Spectacular views, 270-degree views from this thing. Live, you can live right on the Cody River with views of the Gulf of Mexico. Brand new flooring, fresh paint, covered parking included. Really about 1,000 square feet in a condo for you in Port Richey, 4823 Ebb Tide Lane. Get in touch with Brandon and the Platinum MVP team, or check out any of these properties at consumerqb.com. As it turns out, real estate is a big driver of the program here. We're lucky enough to have Diane VANCE as our expert in the mortgage field. Diane, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Well, I really look forward to your visits here on the show because I get kind of lost in this, and I hear from people down here in the Tampa Bay area that it's crazy. They can't find any place to live. What is the market outlook? What are you thinking as you look at our situation down here?
Well, we definitely still have a shortage of inventory. Matter of fact, I think the housing numbers will come out tomorrow as far as the amount, how many homes are for sale in the areas nationally. Okay. And we have a big shortage here. February was the lowest that we've had in forget how many years, and they're expecting that it's getting tighter. We need people to sell their homes or put their homes up for sale, and that is our biggest issue right now, is people finding houses to buy. Of course, if they don't give up and don't get frustrated, they eventually do buy homes. So it's just a matter of time and being persistent.
Yeah, that's the critical thing. The idea that you can get frustrated very easily doing this. I have a lot of people out there that say, I just throw their hands up and say, well, I've been looking, I had a place, I thought we were going to get in there. What has your experience been in terms of how diligent these folks have to be to get through this challenging time?
Oh, they have to keep trying, because the other side of the coin is they can rent. And guess what's happening in rent?
Yeah.
Rent is you're building somebody else's wealth, but it's also going up at the same pace as what not new homes, but existing homes are. So it's either you're gonna and it's very hard to rent as well right now. You do have to have jobs, you do have to have credit, those type of things, and you have to have usually some money that you put down. But the rent increases are more than what has been in the past. So the same situation. So I've been telling people, if you can go month to month for a while, or maybe do a shorter term lease if you can't find something. But most of the people that I see are making 5 to 10 offers is what they're making to actually, and then I keep telling them, just keep going. It will come. Something will come on the market. Eventually, you will get it, and it does happen most of the time. They do find something. We have noticed I've actually noticed in the local market that we've actually seen some of the houses, more houses coming on the market than they were before. Not a lot more, but we are seeing, where some houses, some areas maybe only had, 6 or 7 listings. Now they have 10. So, but when those extra 4 come on board, then, then what happens is everybody tries to flock and get them depending on where the area is at.
Right.
So you just have to be very diligent and be prepared and make sure. We have a program that it's called an Advantage Plus program, where we actually put you all the way through underwriting as though you had a home, so you have a full commitment when you go out there, and it can help you compete against those cash buyers and those people, because there's no surprises on the buyer's end.
Yeah.
Even though we have them pre-approved up front before we do a pre-approval letter, this is one step further to make sure that it goes faster, quicker.
And that's the key, that you're ready to pull the trigger when you finally do get that opportunity. You mentioned the renters, and I have a scenario for you. This has been a couple of kids came forward to me. I live over near the North Tampa area, and typically that was a cheaper place for renters because of the university. A couple of people expressed to me that they had a reservation to move back into their same apartment. They take the summer off as students. Upon returning in the fall, they were told, hey, we had to run your credit again, and it turns out because the new rent is up twice as much, you don't qualify anymore, so they could open up the property and re-rent it at a higher rate. So there's some ways commercial property owners are finding ways to get current tenants out and take advantage of the increased rent opportunities. That's really making things even harder for folks out there.
Oh yeah, and that's you're exactly right. And anytime they have that opportunity, I know it's great to come back and after you've been off, but boy, you may want to just keep renting it if you're in college.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep renting it for the summer or whatever, because that's exactly what happens. Because you still have to qualify even for rental properties. And honestly, I've heard people that again, they go back in and people are doing the same thing where they're offering more than what the rent is.
Right.
So I don't know if you've heard that, but that's what I've heard some people tell me. I've had people tell me that their rent has went up. Some of them are expecting, $300, and that's a lot of money. But what I tell people is get prepared. You get prepared, and then you will be ready when you actually do find the house. Don't give up. Don't get frustrated. I know it's frustrating. Trust me. I was just on a call today from some of our top producers, and it was interesting because one of them is in Louisiana, and she said that she'd ran 1,500 credit reports last year, and of the 1,500, 20% actually came through and actually got a loan. So either their credit had to be improved, which we have a program for that as well.
Right.
So they had to improve their credit, or they couldn't find a property. So it's, you talk about a lot of, that's a big number, but that's kind of what's going on. It used to be that, we would get somebody pre-approved and they'd find a house on the weekend. That doesn't happen now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about, Diane. The duration of shopping, now in our market today, as opposed to other places. I'm sure in other parts of the country that it's always been difficult or more like we are experiencing now. But for us, I'm sure it went from, like you said, maybe a weekend, or a week, 10 days, to now something where you got to be looking for maybe 60 days.
Oh, even longer than that. Just depending on, what you're looking for. If you're in a really popular price range, you could be looking for 6 months.
Right.
So the good thing is credit reports are good for 120 days, and it's very easy. You just keep up your credit if it's going to go longer than 120 days. I tell people just be very prepared and don't get frustrated. We know, and I feel for a lot of these people because, they have prepared and they've saved their down payment and they do have their money, and, they don't have all the extra money that some of these people have to go out and, maybe put an extra $20, $30, $40, $50,000 over and above the asking price. Mm-hmm. Now we have seen that slow down a little bit. Okay. So it's not nearly as it was earlier. With the interest rates increasing, which they have done, they've increased quite a bit, but they're still very affordable. I don't know about you, but my first home was 8 3/4, how many years ago, long time ago. But
so I think that's a critical part of this, Diane, is just letting potential buyers know this is a process that may take 6 months. You need to dig in and be ready and don't get so frustrated by the challenge.
Yes, and you just keep looking and when that house comes up, you'd be the first one to go make the offer. And
that's right.
I tell people, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to go in and offer less." I said, "Don't do that."
Right.
That is not going to get you the deal. go in and offer your strongest offer that you can afford to do. And then, but if you go in and you under offer whatever they're asking, chances are that, and sometimes that takes 4 or 5 times to understand that. Because, I know it used to be that people would, it's a seller's market right now. It's not a buyer's market. So they, sellers can, they know there's a shortage of inventory. They know, and the other thing too, sellers know that, hey, I need to get a certain amount because I have to go find another property.
That's right.
So, they have to also think about what they're doing next. And it will work itself out. Automatically it does. Anytime we have a change in interest rates, the Fed increased their Fed funds, which isn't directly, tied to mortgage more. What is tied to the mortgage is, the Fed's actually decreasing their, they're trying to reduce, they're starting to reduce their balance sheet.
Okay.
So that means they were buying mortgage-backed bonds, and they have a lot on the balance sheet. So now they're reducing that, and they're actually selling those mortgage-backed bonds. That's what causes the interest rates to change. That is already in the market. So they were expecting a 1/4 point. So interest rates going up still is very, very affordable and not much different than it was last year. But it's still, a lot of people hear that they're going to be raising rates this year, right?
Right.
So they think that immediate interest rates are going to go up with exactly whatever they raise the rates. That is what the Fed does on their Fed fund rates is what they actually, that's not directly tied to the mortgage.
Okay.
It is a little bit, but
right.
it's not to the point that that's what it follows. So, but that does follow like the equity loans and things like that, car
Gotcha.
loans, those type things. So it's definitely a different market, but it's definitely still a very, very, very good market.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you want to get involved, you got to get in with Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage. Diane has so many great programs for veterans, first-time buyers, ways to kind of bring that first payment, that initial down payment down a little bit. If you could, Diane, we have about a minute left. Just hit some of the details as far as what you guys can do out there, and make sure folks can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so if you go to my website, DianeVance.com, that's my name. It goes right to my Fairway domain. I have my own domain name, but it goes to my Fairway website, and it has a lot of information on there. And but we have programs we do down payment assistance. We have VA loans, FHA loans, conventional loans, jumbo loans, which means anything over $647,200 up to $3 million we can do a loan on. So we have several options that are available to buyers.
Okay. Diane Vance, Fairway Independent Mortgage, does a great job for us, educated me so much on what I need to do to be ready. And that's the whole idea out there, folks. If you're looking to buy, you got to be ready. This market is very challenging. You need someone who has knowledge, and that's why Diane is such a valuable asset to the program. Thanks so much for joining us today, Diane.
Thank you.
Diane Vance, DianeVance.com, does a great job. Fairway Independent Mortgage. Don't go anywhere. We got Manny Febre from Febre Frameworks. He's going to join us, and he's got some interesting ideas about real estate and some ways that you might get some more value in your property. And we got a feel-good story today. Don't go anywhere. This is the Consumer Quarterback.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or consumerqb.com.
Selling commercial or residential property? Don't leave money on the table. List with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rhymes. Reach me at 813-670-7372 or PlatinumMVPteam.com.
Have you desired more income and more freedom in your life? Now is your time.
Keller Williams Realty has just launched our own real estate school, and you can get licensed for free. I'm Brandon Rhymes, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, owner of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. And for the first 3 people who reach out, I will personally coach you. 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. ConsumerQB.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
That's right, ConsumerQB.com, a great resource for you to check out all our expert contributors, our sponsors, and even some of the properties that you hear pitched on the Consumer Quarterback Show. The sponsor for this segment is Golf Cart Depot. You know, these folks, everybody in my neighborhood's pulling their kids around on skateboards with a golf cart. Trick-or-treating, they got the golf cart out. Walking the dog, they got the golf cart out. So everyone has a golf cart. If you need one, Golf Cart Depot or Discovery Golf Cars, multiple locations in the Bay Area. They do a great job financing or they come out mobile repair if you need work done on it. So Discovery Golf Cars, the official golf cart sponsor of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brandon, as we know, owns the Platinum MVP team. He's a real estate agent right here in the Bay Area, and we've got some real estate opportunities for you, even in this time of scarcity. Johnny's going to put one up on the screen for me right now. Let's take a look at what you got there, John. So if you're looking to get into the Newport Richey area, 5014 Pompano Drive, this is about 1,600 square feet. This is a 3-2 with a 2-car garage, waterfront home, right, with bay access, private dock, deep water canal, updated kitchen. It's got a covered porch, a circular driveway, and you're in a private community beach there. You got a clubhouse and boat ramp, so great opportunity in Newport Richey. Get in touch with Brandon, 5014 Pompano Drive in Newport Richey. What a good-looking property. What else we got, John? Here's one in Tarpon Springs, 820 North Pinellas Avenue. This is 834 square feet. It's a 2-2 single-family home, or you can use it as an office. It's got a nice-sized living room, indoor laundry room, backyard shed included. It's about a quarter-acre lot, downtown Tarpon Springs. So 820 North Pinellas Avenue in Tarpon Springs. If you want to check out any of the properties you hear pitched on the show, get in touch with Brandon. Don't leave money on the table. Speaking of real estate, if you're looking to get top dollar for your real estate, you better get some good pictures. And if you want some great pictures, Febre Frameworks is the perfect place to go. Manny Febre, how are you doing today, man?
Good, not too bad.
Now tell me, when someone comes to you and says, what can you do to make my house look better? What can you do to, they take out their phone, they take a picture, say, I already have a picture.
And that's their first mistake. Especially in this market, it's a lot of realtors are kind of like, all right, let me go ahead and cut corners because, hey, you can put pretty much any picture out there and it'll probably sell $50,000 or $60,000 over listing price.
Right.
But when you're going to that listing presentation and you show the sellers your portfolio, they're going to want to see some great marketing, and that's what we provide. We provide pictures that are drop dead gorgeous, and they're going to get you that $50,000 or $60,000 over list price. If you take the pictures by yourself, you might get list price, but with us, you definitely get above and beyond what you're expecting. And then we have the drone aerials that really highlight plenty of properties on the water, conservation, ones that are on half-acre lots. So you're getting a lot of quality using us, and we're standard flat fee. So you're really getting the best buck for your value.
Now, we talk about the competition and the challenge that it is for buyers in this market with folks just shopping online from out of state. So if you don't have it, if you don't have pictures, video, the latest, you're behind it because not everyone's going to put their eyes on your property.
Exactly, and the biggest thing is that most buyers spend about 90% of their time on the first photo, which a lot of times what we recommend are virtual twilights or twilight photos because you get a nice photo that pops with the sunset in the background, with a nice, that's what's going to attract the buyers. They're going to be like, all right, well, now let me go ahead and take a look inside, and that's where you get a lot more showings and you're going to get a lot more traction, and that's where you're going to get probably 20 or 30 offers instead of 10.
Now, Febre Framework's been a longtime partner on the show here. You guys have been with us for so long, working with Brandon on his real estate deals. Talk a little bit about how things have evolved for you guys. You started out just offering photography, now with the drones. Now you guys offer some virtual tours and staging, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, it really evolved a lot. I mean, me and my brother started off just doing photos, and then the drone licenses came available in 2016. So we're like, hey, now it's affordable. It used to be about $3,000 to get a drone license, but in 2016 they passed a Part 107, and then it became $150 to get your drone license, and we can use it for commercial reasons. But yeah, now we started offering virtual tours. So you get a lot of these out-of-state buyers. They're looking online. They're trying to get a feel for the home. They don't have the time to fly down there, and you can literally walk through the house like it's Google View. So it's amazing, and you're able to kind of look at the ceiling, the floors, everything. You can walk through the entire house. Every 5 feet, that scan is there, and you can look around. So it's really revolutionized the way people look at houses nowadays and just from photos.
Yeah, that is really cool. Plus, you guys have started out just in our market, and now you're all over the state. Is that right?
Yeah. So we started off in Tampa, and now we're in all the major metros here in the state of Florida, and now we're looking at pretty much taking over the southeast region. We're going to go into Atlanta, Georgia, hopefully in 2023. Right now, we're just working on making sure that these territories here in the state of Florida expand as much as we can before we leave the state. But we love working here in Florida.
Manny, what do you recommend for folks out there in terms of updating pictures? Not just, they think, I've had this done a few years ago. Do I need to get them done again?
Yeah, I would highly suggest so, because, with every single year that comes by, we definitely see a big upturn in technology, and we're actually been able to make the photos look crispier, get more of a view outside than we were before. So I highly recommend every year, if you're going to put your house on the market or whatever, make sure that you get those new photos.
Now, when you guys are hiring folks, do they have to have a photography background, or they have to have a drone license? What makes a good photographer for you?
And that's a great question, because honestly, most of the people that do work for us, they never even held a camera. Some people do. Yeah, you got to train them. But the way that me and my brother have this system, we call it the Febre method, but we literally teach anybody who loves to do photography or wants to do something different an opportunity to be able to take photos. And it kind of stems because from doing real estate photography, now they grow a little bit of a passion for photography, and they start doing landscapes, possibly people. So honestly, we don't even need any experience. We just need everybody to get the Part 107, which we reimburse for.
Gotcha. Now, you guys also offer headshots and other things in terms of photography as well for folks that are just looking for a new headshot.
Yeah, and that's one of our really big.
It's a big
really big, really big things that are really kind of popping off right now, which is our headshots, because we're really affordable. Right. At $80 you can get a brand new headshot. It's crispy clean. Our headshot photographer, he's been doing it for a long time, so he loves doing it. We have some great backgrounds to pick from, so we've been getting a lot more walk-ins, so that has been really accelerating quickly. And then as well, we do wedding and event photography, and we do it at a really discounted, affordable price, but with still the high quality that you get. So we always like to have affordability with great quality.
Now, Manny, there was another application for what you guys do. Weren't you helping out the motor vehicle department or something with road mapping or that kind of thing? I heard you talking about that one time.
Yeah. So we were doing a couple projects for drone mapping, and basically it's a lidar drone, and it would capture all the point system, so that the CAD managers could grab that and put it into a drawing, a blueprint, and we were helping with that, as well as over time you get a change in the project, and we could also calculate how much material was being used and all that kind of sort. So yeah, we definitely expanded in there, and we literally get those calls. So we like to pride ourselves in the 5-star service, so I guess that really helps and goes a long ways.
Yeah, I love the cutting edge nature of you guys, always staying up to date with the software, always having the new drones, always coming up with the new ideas. How do you guys stay on top of the market like you do?
Man, we're basically looking at other real estate photographers all over the country to see what they're doing. Right now, we're about to launch, I would say probably mid Q2, we're about to launch a brand new customer portal that's going to change the game. Going to make it easy for realtors to create flyers, to create short videos for social media. So we're always trying to innovate. We're always trying to be the easy button of real estate photography, and it seems that we're really driven to be the best. That
is so awesome. Manny Febre Frameworks. Manny, we got about 10-15 seconds left. How do folks get to you?
Right now, you go to FebreFrameworks.com/book us, and you can book us online. We have a site submission form there, and then you can also call us at 813-906-8300, and we'll be more than happy to pick up the call.
That is Manny Febre Frameworks, longtime friend of the program. Get in touch with him for all your photography needs. Don't go anywhere. I've got special counsel Lauren Frieders right here in our Salem Media Group studios. We're going to talk to her, and we're going to give you a feel-good story. Don't go anywhere. This is the Consumer Quarterback.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group. and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
It depends. I mean, we're a right to work state, but.
All right, Jose. Second half.
Five, four, three, two, one.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
That's right. Give Brandon a call if you want to check out any of the properties you hear us pitch on the Consumer Quarterback Show, or you want to get in touch with some of our great sponsors or the expert contributors that go out of their way to help your dollar go farther in our marketplace. We've got a sponsor for this segment. It is Veteran Gutters. You know, Brandon Porter has been on the show before. He himself is a veteran. He employs an entirely veteran crew. They'll come out and put gutters on your house. You know, it's about to get real rainy down here, and if you don't have gutters on your house, there's a lot of water that's going to come off your roof and get in your foundation. Gutters are going to preserve the life of your house. So get in touch with Brandon Porter, Veteran Gutters. He does a great job for us. He's the official veteran guy for the Consumer Quarterback Show. And, of course, Brandon owns the Platinum MVP team. We talk a lot of real estate here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Johnny is our TV producer. He's going to throw a couple of properties up that you can get in touch with us on consumerqb.com if you want to see him in Seminole, 14626 Lower Dawn Drive. Number 14, this is a 2-3, about 1,300 square feet, double master layout. It's got a waterfront dock, fast access to the Gulf for all you fishermen, 5-minute drive to Indian Shores and Indian Rocks Beach, great views for the Intercoastal Waterway. The HOA covers heated pool, tennis court, landscaping, water, and trash. So a great opportunity in Seminole, 14626 Lower Dawn Drive. Get in touch with Brandon if you want to check out that property or any of the other properties you're going to hear me pitch. What else you got for me, John? Here's something in Hudson, about 3 acres. If you're a builder, we've got plenty of road frontage at this lot, so about 13424 Hicks Road in Hudson. Again, over 3 acres, septic, electricity, and well available. Possibilities for commercial business with rezoning. So if you got an idea, you want to build something, business, residence, big house, Hudson area, get in touch with Brandon and the Platinum MVP team. He says don't leave money on the table. All right, special counsel Lauren Frieder from Adams and Reese is in the studio. What's been going on, Lauren?
Well, hey, James. It's good to see you behind the microphone.
Yeah.
What's been going on? Well, obviously a lot lately in this world.
Right. But wait a minute, were you special counsel when we met last time, or are you special counsel just now?
I am special counsel now.
Okay.
The last time at the old law firm, I was an associate. So it's quite the bump up. It's basically,
Gotcha.
it's partner status.
We're coming up. All right.
Very exciting.
So everything is going on, as you mentioned, real estate. We've got all kinds of things happening. What are you seeing in your office over there?
Well, we're seeing a lot. I mean, we are a full-service law firm, so we actually are very blessed that we just acquired amazing Trent Cotney's construction law firm.
Oh, yeah. Trent's been on the show.
Has he?
Yeah,
oh, my
yeah.
gosh, I can't wait to talk to him about it. So, we're in all areas, from government regulations and affairs, environmental, transportation and energy, real estate, of course, which is my big baby.
Right.
Lots of litigation. Business and commercial litigation. I've actually been doing a lot of immigration stuff,
No kidding.
which is obviously timely. But with that said, I'm kind of noticing, especially in the last probably month or so, a big trend with employers trying to enforce their employment agreements, like confidentiality, non-solicitation, non-compete agreements. And I think this might be happening because we had that big trend, the Great Resignation. So you've got a lot of employees leaving. Employers are paying top dollars. So when the talent's going, the employers are thinking, what can I do to enforce and send a message to my employers that are sticking around?
Let me see if I'm listening correctly to what you're saying. So if I get a job and I sign this form, and then I get a better offer from somebody, because we're certainly, this market, as you mentioned, a lot of competition for labor out there, and I feel like it's a better opportunity, I'm held to that contract I've signed.
Well, as always, it depends. So, there's a lot of things that go into it. So you really want to make sure, like, what some of the tips that I tell employers when they're thinking about having employees enter into a non-compete agreement, the court's going to look at different factors. Is it reasonable in time and scope? A reasonable time for non-competition is pretty much like 1 to 2 years. Geographic location. The smaller the radius, the more reasonable it is. So 5 miles, a city versus county. I've seen non-competes that are worldwide. That can be outrageous. Obviously, Florida is a right-to-work state. So the courts do look at these, but it is a voluntary contract. So, if you're a McDonald's hourly worker, you shouldn't be entering into a non-compete. But the more specialized training you have and expertise in a certain field, think about trade secrets, proprietary information, unique values and skill sets. Those are going to be more where you're going to see non-compete agreements. I always tell people, employers, definitely talk with an attorney first. Make sure these terms seem enforceable, because if you want to enforce it later, it needs to be a good contract. And then for potential employees, make sure you really understand and know what you're signing. Don't just sign it and then later on when you're ready to leave say, well, I don't care. This doesn't really apply to me. But the whole time you were working there, you were reaping the benefits, i.e. good pay, compensation, salary, stuff like that. So a court's going to look at these different factors, and you really just need to know what is enforceable and what's not. And I think a lot of times people think they know the law, but the law is really complicated.
Right.
So that's why it's really important to talk with an attorney. And I always say do it before you sign something or before you draft something, because when things go wrong is when things get really expensive.
It's interesting. If you're an employee and you have a great amount of knowledge and you bring a lot of assets with you when you join a company, you maybe not need a ton of training. If you're someone who comes in pretty raw and gets a ton of training and learns all these different things about how to do this job, you've got a different investment level from the employer in terms of how much time and energy they've put into this person. So I would think that would reflect, I would feel more comfortable if I came into a job and I knew I already had this cold. I may not want to sign, or I may say, this language is a little overburdening in terms of how much you're asking of me.
You should negotiate the terms if you can. I mean, if you have a book of business, for example, and you've got those special skills and techniques, you need to make sure that you can try to negotiate with the employer, or maybe don't accept the employment, because if it doesn't work out and you want to leave, that's business you generated beforehand. That's your goodwill, that's your name, and you want to be able to take that with you. Right. There's some areas where you can't have certain restrictions, such as lawyers.
Right.
So, people are not property. So we have to let our clients know.
Boy, with the amount of law firms out there and all the different people getting into law, I could see this really being something where how do you determine what knowledge is unique to this firm, or what information that you gathered while your time as an employee for this firm is ours?
Well, as it comes to clients, they're not property, but works such as like if you draft a motion, different pleadings, those would be pretty much probably considered the property of the law firm.
Okay.
So it as always, it varies. It's unique, and everything's different state to state. But I think people really need to understand that an employment agreement is a contract, and if you breach a contract, there can be consequences. And a lot of people don't realize, employees when they leave, once they've signed this agreement and they might breach it, that there will be pretty much an injunctive relief that's going to be entered against you right away while the court's determining the merits of the case, so that potential new job that you just left for, you don't even have anymore. And especially in this market, we've got inflation, a crazy housing market, rent is insane.
Yeah.
So think about those things before you jump ship. I do always, like, a lot of my clients are obviously the business owners.
Right.
And when I'm talking with them, they say, I would have let them go ahead and take some of these clients with them, or I wouldn't be so upset if they wanted to go 20 miles or 30 miles. But then there's this one thing that just kind of sets it over the edge when you start posting things online, disparaging your employer. And that can be, I think a lot of employers are very, very reasonable. So communicate with your employer if you're thinking about leaving. Definitely talk to an attorney and say, hey, I've got this job opportunity. Can you look at my non-compete agreement? Would this be a violation? If so, perhaps you can reach out to my current employer, see if maybe we can rework the terms. And that really would be my best advice, because you don't want to go to court later and say, well, I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't know how this was going to work out, because defense of ignorance in the law is it's never a defense.
Right. Now, if you were going to breach that contract and you knew you were going to be in violation of that contract, there's nothing you can do in advance of saying, try to set it up so that I've acquired this knowledge now, or this is something new. I'm just curious to see how that would play out in court when you actually say, hey, we're going to file this breach because we feel like this the former employer of ours, is in violation of the contract. The variable that I think is where it would be reasonable or unreasonable is the duration of time they expect you to maintain the contract. So is a year typical?
A year or two is very typical, and that's going to be, upheld depending on the profession, the agreement. Are you higher level management? Are you an hourly wage employee? But what you're talking about is kind of anticipatory repudiation of a contract, or an anticipatory breach. So that's where that injunctive relief, which is typically in all employment agreements, says, hey, if we think you're about to breach this, we're going to go to the court. You're going to pay the attorney fees. We're going to get an injunction while we litigate out what you are or not doing. If we have reasonable belief to think, or just that you are going to breach this, or you're about to breach it. So we're going to ask the court to stop that behavior before it starts or gets worse.
So as a strategy in that situation, you may realize, hey, I signed on this date. It's effective 1 year from the date I signed. I'm thinking about making this move. We're getting to the 10th month, the 11th month, where they're going to ask you to sign another year.
Yeah.
And that at that point, you got to kind of make your decision right there.
Absolutely. Don't just sign it, take a few days. Some employers, the agreement might be longer than a year. It just
or it might
depends.
automatically roll over.
Yeah, it can roll over. So you really do need to look at the terms of it. And then I do see a lot of employers that will, have you sign a new one, and the terms, of course, they change because you might become more valuable, or, they're upset because they started to see what some other ex-employees are doing. So they've rewritten the terms.
Right.
And that's when you have that bargaining and negotiation power to try to work it out ahead of time. Just don't sign something that you don't think you can comply with. You can't pick different provisions or terms that you want to, comply with, i.e. taking your paycheck, taking your benefits, and then say, well, I'm not going to comply with this term, that is, you can't take the clients with you.
Well, that's something to consider. When you're in that situation, you're thinking about leaving, you've probably built up some equity, some funds, some different things that you're going to want access to that they may be able to not provide. Is that correct?
That's very true. So, you really got to negotiate. The courts are always looking for what we call consideration, what each party is giving up or putting into this agreement to make sure that it's fair bargaining power. The contract's going to be presumed voluntarily entered into. It's not like somebody's putting a gun to your head and saying, you better sign this and take this job. That would be a great defense. So.
But you can see, just getting through this language, you better have an attorney on your side. We're visiting here with Special Counsel Lauren Frieder from Adams and Reese. I just would be so uneducated or just not prepared to look through that contract and say, oh, this is, there's no violations or there's nothing extreme or unusual in here. Your ability to see that language before anyone else does, that's the whole idea behind this whole thing.
Absolutely. Most of the time, these should be and are written by attorneys. So we use a lot of crazy legal terms and definitions, and they're long. So, you might think you're not breaching the non-compete or non-solicitation by saying, well, this was my client that I developed this relationship while I was here with you. Mm-hmm. But why can't I take them? So you really need to understand how they define a trade secret, for example, or competition. What's the radius? How far can what we call the crow fly? And how many different miles does this non-compete, go? So
a lot of subtleties in this. We're going to get into more of this with Lauren Frieder, Special Counsel Adams and Reese when we come back from this break. Plus, I've got a feel-good story about a traveling war memorial. It's going to be at MacDill Park to honor our nation's fallen military. This is the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Thanks for listening to My Daddy's Show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Ian Beckles here with my man Brandon Rhymes, a.k.a. the real estate quarterback. Brandon, what's happening with the market?
Thanks, Ian. We are in a low inventory market, so any of our listeners are homeowners and would like a free comparable market analysis or a 2.5% listing, we will honor this for the first 3 listeners who call or text in
813-917-1894.
Free CMA and a 2.5% real estate listing. Check out consumerqb.com.
My name is James DeJerome, and I produce the Consumer Quarterback Show for Brandon Rhymes. The Consumer Quarterback Show is a team, a group of like-minded professionals who partner together to provide our audience sound advice, knowledge, and information to make them wiser consumers. We work with all types of business owners and aggressively promote our local economy. We're currently conducting interviews for our expert contributors. If you own a business or know someone who would benefit from the exposure our show provides, please contact us at 813-750-0550 or online at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
That's right, consumerqb.com, a great resource for you guys out there. Check out all the properties you hear pitched on the show. You can meet our sponsors. You can check out our expert contributors. So a great resource for you, consumerqb.com. One of our sponsors for this segment, Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving company of the Consumer Quarterback Show. These folks moved Brandon into his new place, and they were moving furniture well after dark, so they earned their status as the official moving sponsor. Whether you're going local or long distance, Brothers Easy Moving, lots of 5-star reviews online. Check them out. Again, the official moving sponsor of the Consumer Quarterback Show. One of the aspects of the Consumer Quarterback Show that we always want to do for you is the feel-good story. We're going to inject a little positivity for you. I have a story coming to Tampa right here about a traveling war memorial. So, traveling war memorial will be installed at MacDill Park to honor our nation's fallen military. Gold Star families say the essence of the memorial is that the hero remembered never dies. A Gold Star family is one that has lost a loved one while serving the country. This is in the same park where there is a permanent monument installed by the Tampa organization called CRISP, which is Commitment, Respect, Integrity, Service, and Pride, to honor our fallen heroes. A Gold Star family's greatest fear is that their fallen will be forgotten. So CRISP is making sure their legacy lives on. Here's a couple of quotes from some of the people involved. It says, "I'll miss him. When I see his face on this display, it melts my heart, but it also fills me with pride," said Tony Gross. She's a Gold Star mother. Gross lost her only son, Army Corporal Frank Gross, on July 16 in 2011 when he was killed by an IED in Afghanistan. She says, "Remembering our Florida's fallen helps to highlight the service and sacrifice of our Gold Star families, as well as our veterans and our active duty." The exhibit includes 32 tribute towers with military and personal photos from more than 5,000 of our nation's fallen heroes since 9/11. It serves as a reminder of the ultimate sacrifice made by those who helped serve in Iraq and Afghanistan. It'll bring our community together again, help us unite, remember, and just honor these families, says General Chip Deal. He's a CRISP board member. General Deal says, he was born on MacDill Air Force Base and later became base wing commander. General Deal went to serve as the Pentagon, and he was there in the Pentagon during 9/11. And he says he's retired after serving 30 years. He says, Gold Star families, again, we cannot forget them. We have to keep our arms around them. So that's a great way you can honor them. Check out this traveling war memorial at MacDill Park. Lauren, you mentioned you saw this thing.
I did. Our amazing, beautiful office is located in the Regions building, and it's right on one of the sides of the building is the Riverwalk. And I saw this yesterday, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely awesome.
Really cool idea.
Yes.
I'm surprised this hasn't, I didn't know about this before, but what a great idea. The Gold Star families have gone through so much. A great way to honor those folks.
Absolutely.
Now, tell me, before the break, we were talking about non-compete, and we were talking in the break a little bit about in television and radio, a lot of times you see this with talent. They say, hey, you can't appear on another TV station or you can't appear on another radio show for a certain amount of time. I'm always curious to know how long it takes to forget your face. So they've obviously done some work where they say, hey, 1 year, and then everyone will have forgotten who you are. You can come back out and show yourself. So I just thought unusual. I understood it more in those fields. Talk about some of the other places where you see these contracts.
I mean, you see them really everywhere. And I can't get into too many specifics as, in doctors, different. I've seen them with physical therapists. I've seen them in.
You mentioned lawyers, your profession.
Well, we don't have those in our profession, so we're hypocrites. But there could be. There are obviously exceptions though for attorneys. I mean, if you're entering in from one law firm to another, and you might have represented somebody prior, and there could be conflicts, things like that. So you do have to watch that kind of stuff.
Well, just hold on one second. Is a client the property of the firm, or by nature are they your client as a lawyer working for a firm?
Well, the client is their own person, so they can decide if they want to stay with the law firm, go with, for example, when I had left my previous firm, they can stay, they could go with another attorney.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's really important because you're exercising legal rights.
So there's not a two-way contract with the client. It's just the talent, or in this case, the attorney, who would be under the non-compete.
Well, it really wouldn't be a non-compete, but you have to give the clients reasonable notice to let them know that, there's an attorney departing, and they have the option to stay with the law firm. They have the option to go with the attorney or go with other representation.
Wow. That is why she is special counsel, Lauren Frieder. Help us learn some more, Lauren. What else you got for us?
Oh, geez. I mean, bring it on. We're talking about, employment agreements and breaches, but I'm also just seeing lately a lot of different breach of contracts in general. And I just think after, we're all kind of coming out of COVID, people are getting, willing to litigate more, or they're upset. They've got a lot of built up frustration. Things are kind of going crazy. So I have noticed, that you need to really even think about, I've seen a trend lately with people violating court orders. And court orders, in a sense, are kind of like contracts per se. It's the court's telling you what you have to do. You need to abide by it. And if you don't abide by it, it's a breach. So you need to really understand in any contractual obligation what your obligations are and what the penalties are if you breach it. So, we've got this hot real estate market. So say, it took me 7 months to find a house. So it's, it's everybody, it's a hard one. But if you're under a contract to purchase a house and the buyer, the seller decides, hey, I don't want to sell this. There's been a lot of kind of shady things that we've heard about in the news. So they know that there might be a better offer, but they already accepted yours, and you're the buyer, and you're like, I finally got under contract. So you can sue for specific performance or your deposit back, things like that. But I would probably, as that buyer, go for specific performance. It's the same thing when we're talking about rent with the landlords and the tenants. There's a lot of interesting things going on. I don't typically ever represent tenants in the residential side. I do in commercial. But, when a tenant breaks a lease early, typically the liquidated provision is 2 months rent. Got to give the proper notice. And, landlords do need to be careful. I heard you talking on one of your segments, I believe with Diane VANCE. And it's really important to make sure that, you're doing things legally. There's obviously, it's a hot and heavy market. We've got a lot of people flowing to Florida, and we don't have a lot of places to put them. So, what can we do about that? But we still need to protect our local community and make it affordable. Inflation's crazy. I mean, Tampa's one of the worst places. So, there's a lot of competition out there. And I just think it's really important that everybody kind of takes a pause before they make a big decision and talks to somebody who can understand what the ramifications could be in that decision. And remember, as attorneys, we don't know everything. There are so many areas of the law. If you came to me and asked me about criminal advice, I would say, I don't really know. I'm not a criminal defense attorney. So you need to find, a specialty attorney for whatever you're looking for. And trust me, they're there.
Now, being someone who's familiar with the medical community and how people get opinions from multiple doctors, do you feel insulted as a lawyer if someone says, I'd like to seek an additional opinion?
It can depends for sure. There's times when I'm like, hey, I know I'm right. But that is a smart thing to do. And it actually does happen. And people, I don't think people should be scared to do that, actually. I think you should, in a sense, shop around as a consumer. But you don't want to pick an attorney just because you like what they're telling you.
Right.
Oftentimes that means you're getting bad advice. I'm going to be really real with the person. I always say, hey, you may not like what I'm going to say, but you're not paying me to tell you what you want to hear. You're paying me to help you and get you out of the situation or keep you from getting in a bad situation.
Is there a resource for folks out there to look at your track record as an attorney?
I don't think there's like one in general. I know Westlaw will help show like jury verdicts. If you go to the websites, you can ask, you can see big verdicts or how often somebody might go to court. But remember, not all attorneys are litigators. So I think it's really important to ask the questions when you're deciding on hiring somebody. Is this your area of expertise? How long you've been practicing in this area? How do you stay up to date? We are required to do continuing education courses. Right. And those are really important because the law is changing all the time.
Sure.
So, and ask for referrals. I know that if it's an area of law that I don't specialize in, luckily Adams and Reese is full service and I can find the right person and I can go pick their brain or I can send the prospective client over to them. I think it's just really important. There's so many niches and specialties out there these days, and that's why there's so many different niches and specialties of attorneys.
All right, we got about a minute left, Lauren. I want to give you the time to go through a little bit about Adams and Reese. Tell me about them. You mentioned how all the different areas they're involved in. I just want to hear your experience.
Well, I absolutely love Adams and Reese. It's an amazing law firm, based out of New Orleans, but we are strategically located throughout the South. I think we have about 18 locations within Florida. We've got the Tampa office, St. Pete, Sarasota, Jacksonville. But we have a huge global reach. I mean, we're up in Washington. Wow. A lot of our clients, a lot of them are international. We got banks. So we just have a really great reach. And the attorneys, the expertise is just absolutely amazing. But also, for being a large law firm, it feels like a small family. Just some of the nicest people, very welcoming, and just normal people.
What's your website and how do folks get your email or whatever you want to give them?
Okay, well, our website is adamsandreese.com, and my email address is lauren.frieder@arlaw.com. That's lauren.frieder@arlaw.com, and you can reach me at 813-227-5543. Special
Counsel Lauren Frieder, thanks so much for coming in today and educating us a little bit about all this stuff I didn't know about. Diane VANCE, she says check out DianeVance.com and she'll try to get you ready for this challenging real estate market that we're in. Manny Febre's got a way to sell your property for more. Don't forget about Febre Frameworks. I want to thank all those folks, and I want to thank Brandon for giving me the opportunity to host when he's out. This is the Consumer Quarterback.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rhymes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.